If you want to understand how numbers fail on the battlefield, study Cannae. In 216 BC, Rome assembled one of the largest armies in its history, nearly 86,000 men, 8 legions, allied infantry, heavy cavalry, light skirmishers. The Republic believed mass guaranteed victory. They were facing Hannibal Barca, and by the end of the day, most of that army would be dead. Rome had already been humiliated twice. At Trebia, Hannibal used terrain and concealment to break a Roman force. At Lake Trasimene, he ambushed an entire army in fog and annihilated it. The Roman response was escalation. If smaller armies failed, a larger one would succeed. So they gathered overwhelming force and marched to the plains near Cannae in southern Italy. The ground was flat, open, ideal for heavy infantry engagement. Rome believed this favored them. Hannibal had roughly 50,000 troops, African infantry hardened by campaign, Iberian swordsmen, Celtic warriors, Numidian cavalry renowned for speed and maneuver. He was outnumbered nearly 2-1, but Hannibal did not intend to fight Rome's strength directly. He intended to reshape it. The Roman commanders deployed their infantry in an unusually deep formation. Instead of stretching wide, they stacked thousands of men tightly together, creating a massive column designed to punch through the enemy center. The idea was simple: compress forward, overwhelm, break the line. Hannibal arranged his army differently. At his center stood his weaker Gauls and Iberians. They formed a slight outward curve, a convex arc protruding toward the Roman advance. On either side, slightly withdrawn behind the curve, stood his strongest African infantry, veterans, disciplined, positioned deliberately. His cavalry anchored both wings. When battle began, Rome surged forward exactly as planned. The massive column crashed into Hannibal's center. The Gauls and Iberians began to give ground. Slowly, deliberately, the convex arc flattened. Then it bent inward. To Roman eyes, it appeared the Carthaginian center was collapsing. They pushed harder. The deeper they advanced, the more the arc inverted. Convex became straight. Straight became concave. Without realizing it, the Roman army was funneling itself into a pocket. Their depth worked against them. Packed tightly together, soldiers had limited space to maneuver. Rear ranks pushed forward, compressing the front lines. Communication became strained. Meanwhile, Hannibal's flanks moved. The African infantry pivoted inward against the exposed Roman sides. Calm, controlled, coordinated. At the same time, Carthaginian cavalry defeated Roman horsemen on both wings. Once the Roman cavalry scattered, Hannibal's mounted forces rode behind the Roman infantry. The circle began to close. Front, flanks, rear. The largest army Rome had ever fielded was now encircled. Encirclement is not dramatic, it is suffocating. Roman soldiers found themselves compressed so tightly that many could barely lift their shields. There was no room for tactical rotation, no space to reorganize. The African infantry pressed inward from both sides. Cavalry sealed the rear. The concave trap became a tightening ring. For hours, the killing continued. Ancient estimates vary, but between 50,000 and 70,000 Roman soldiers died that day. Some sources suggest even higher. Consuls, senators, veteran centurions. Entire chains of command vanished in a single afternoon. Very few escaped. The scale of destruction shocked the Republic. It was one of the deadliest single-day losses in Roman military history. And yet, Hannibal did not march on Rome itself. He lacked the siege equipment and reinforcements necessary to assault the city directly. Instead, he relied on the psychological impact. Allied states in Italy began reconsidering their loyalty to Rome. Southern cities defected. Cannae did not end the war, but it changed military doctrine permanently. The maneuver Hannibal executed is now known as double envelopment. It remains one of the most studied battlefield tactics in military academies worldwide. It demonstrates a principle repeated across centuries. Mass without maneuver becomes liability. Rome believed numbers meant dominance. Hannibal understood that positioning decides outcomes. He allowed Rome to commit fully. He let their momentum carry them forward. Then he redirected that force inward. Cannae was not chaos. It was design. The Roman army destroyed itself by pressing too aggressively into a controlled retreat. Strength became compression. Compression became confinement. Confinement became annihilation. The battle stands as a warning against overconfidence. Technology, discipline, and manpower matter. But if an army loses freedom of movement, its advantages diminish rapidly. Hannibal did not overpower Rome. He shaped it. On the plains of Cannae, geometry defeated mass. And if you study war long enough, you begin to see the pattern. Every empire believes its numbers guarantee survival. Until they don't, follow for more war doctrine, battlefield systems, and the patterns that shape history.